Welcome to Chamber Talk. My name's Heath Taylor. I'm the President and CEO at the Dublin-Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce. I have two special guests with me today, Mr. Ben Cochran and Mr. Guy Cochran. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me.
It's good to be with you.
We're going to have a great conversation today. We've already had a little bit of time off camera to talk about Cochran Brothers, and we're celebrating 100 years this year. So first, I want to say congratulations to both of you gentlemen on success in the community and in your business. And Mr. Cochran, if you would take just a few minutes and tell our viewers just a little bit about you, and then maybe a little bit about your involvement with Cochran Brothers.
I'll start with the fact that we are celebrating our 100th birthday and pay tribute to folks in my family and folks that have worked with us through all the years to keep us in business that long. There's no way you could run a business that long without some outstanding folks, and we've been blessed to have that through the years. We've also feel like we've had divine guidance. Every leader we've had that I know about, it's the primary concern that they have, that they seek divine leadership, and he's been kind enough to bless us with some. We've also had customers that were kind enough to trade with us, and we've tried to honor that trust. And so those are the things that are responsible for us making it that long. In my case, I'm the third generation. Some of our listeners probably know that family businesses have a hard time making it through several generations. Sure. For a variety of reasons that may get covered in this discussion. But really, to get to the third generation, some of the literature I've read says it's about maybe 13 to 16% of the companies make it there. So with Guy and Ash's involvement, we have 4 generations. And from my point of view, Guy's biggest challenge now is to get that 5th generation.
Well, and so to bring it over to you, Guy, talk a little bit about that. Does it feel like a little pressure? Maybe you got 100 years here to carry on for the family and the family name here.
That's right. And as my dad said, we feel mighty blessed. We've had like any family business, you know, our ups and downs and that kind of thing. But it is, I just look in the mirror and realize I'm probably on the downhill side. You know, I'm not 35 to 40 anymore, and so. You know,
that's not the age where it's downhill, is it?
No. But that stuff about life beginning at 40, don't believe that either.
Okay.
But you know, it's as my dad said. You know, we're at that point where we recognize we had a succession plan. It's funny, we had a succession plan put in place when he was about my age, and we're kind of working through some things now. And obviously, we've got some challenges as far as how do we perpetuate the business, and that's something I certainly want to do. I mean, I enjoy, it's a challenge. It's to run your own business and to create opportunities for people, and that's the biggest thing that I really enjoy, is seeing your company be able to change the situation of other people and give them opportunities that they might not have otherwise had. So we've done that. You know, we've had some, like my dad said, we've had some folks that have put their flag with us, and they've done pretty well for themselves. So, and they've enabled us to grow. Certainly. And you can't, family businesses quickly outgrow the family if they're successful. So then you have the challenge of, you know, building it from there.
Well, I'll tell you from a chamber perspective, we certainly appreciate you, your years and years and years of investment in this community. The jobs that you do provide for folks in this community, and the revenue that's generated through that. If we can go back just a little bit, take me back a little bit, Mr. Cochran, to the beginning, maybe the first days and times of the business, and how it became what it is today.
In the first years, I learned some things from Scott's research, Scott Thompson, about my grandfather's involvement with some Mr. Horace Smith, I believe, before I was even aware of it. But the history that I was familiar with was my father, Guy V. Cochran, and Mr. Milo Smith Sr. were teenager, well, 20-ish, and they were backed by my grandfather, B.F. Cochran, in a feed and seed wholesale, retail feed and seed store on Lawrence Street. And about the time it got off the ground, World War I came along, and both of the younger men had to go to World War I. And during that time, my grandfather had a large family, and just one after another, he worked them all pretty reasonable, I'm sure.
Right.
And he was like many in that generation. He believed in hard work, and he exemplified it, and he required it. And so a lot of the Cochran family folks went through. Then when the war was over and Guy got back, and I think Milo, I thought we had, well, I know we did. The Cochran part of the business bought Milo's interest while he was in the military. And so shortly thereafter, the youngest brother, Carl Cochran, and Guy Cochran and B.F. Cochran ended up, as it evolved, running a business that was a partnership first, and just it grew into a good-sized wholesale food distribution business, which was a successful kind of a business during after World War I and up to World War II. It was a successful business, not just for us, but Dublin had 6 wholesalers right there together. And then by the time I got came on scene, and I came in '58, and I was the last of that generation. I had a brother-in-law, my cousin's husband, Preston Joyner, and Ray Prosperi had come in, and the generation as I was needling Guy. His job is to get that next generation.
And so coming up a little bit to current day, tell me everything. I know you guys are not just involved in one industry in one area. Share with our viewers a little bit, Guy, about all of the different things that you guys do.
Well, you know, I grew up in the business also, and I was abused, and I don't think I got paid. No, Daddy tells a joke about his dad telling him, "Son, take this truck and go to Riceville, Georgia, and unload it." And he said, "Well, Daddy, I don't know how to back." He said, "I ain't interested in you going backwards. I want you going forwards." And that's kind of how you did us. You know, we drove trucks, and as a kid growing up, the last thing I thought that I would be doing, I was painfully aware of. We were really, you know, going through a tough time when wholesalers were shrinking, and you know, being the oldest, I was aware that it was a tough business. But got to school, went to the military right after my college days. I actually went through college on a military scholarship that was just a happen chance. But while I was in the service, my brother-in-law, Gus Ladson, who was working with Winn-Dixie Company, and my dad started talking about him possibly coming to, them starting a company that, a convenience store group, and that led to us getting into retail. And my dad's recognized that his customer was dying out, the little independent grocer. So I'm watching this from Fort Benning, Georgia, and they opened a store in Mount Vernon, and the first Friendly Gus, and Gus lived down there. I actually had a cot in the store. I mean, you know, he lived it, and it was, I'm not sure who will take credit for the fried chicken. I don't know if Daddy or Gus won, but one of them decided that it might be a novel idea to cook chicken in a convenience store.
Now, when did that come about?
79, in 1979.
So in the very first store, you guys actually had chicken.
We were the
in
only
store.
hot food in Mount Vernon, Georgia, and you know, there's a reason for that. Mount Vernon is not a real big town, but
a good town.
It was a real good town, and it was very successful, and we would talk over the holidays, and I finished up my obligation in 1983, and the retail group was still really small at that point. I came back and went to work in the wholesale division, and 3 or 4 years later, I think it was '87, that I actually started working in retail, and we'd gone from 4 stores to 8 stores. We grew real fast, and we had some.
It was the chicken.
Well, that, and we had some Dole Dominy, who's, you know, recently deceased, but a lot of people in the community remember Dole. He was growing his oil jobbership, and we grew 4 or 5 stores with Dole, and did some on our own, and got up to 8, 9 stores, and a pretty good clip there, and at that point I started working in retail with Gus, because that was that was kind of the big headache, the personnel challenge, trying to staff them, trying to execute it's easy to do fried chicken in one store, right? It's hard to do it in 8 stores, right? And that was the challenge, and we had to develop procedures and policies and all the things that you do when you start trying to duplicate, and that's the challenge in food service, is duplicate execution consistently.
Right.
So that's kind of then, I guess we grew up through the early 90s and got to about 15, 16 stores, and somewhere along in there we realized that we were plateauing with the food service part of it, and we started breakfast, and that's now our biggest meal. Okay. So we're known for our fried chicken, but our biggest meal is breakfast. Of course, we start earlier than most folks. We start at 5:30 every morning.
Well, and you sell gas too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But and the wholesale oil company came along, what, did 1993?
93.
Okay.
We were buying from Neesmith Oil, and they were interested in selling the store, and they had a Chevron Java ship, which we thought was more valuable than it's become. At that time, a flag was perceived to be important. Now, I heard just on the news today that, it was a Consumer Report comment that the general public now they're looking for good gas from any reliable independent. But I do want to mention the guy came in when he moved to retail.
Wick came in.
My next son, Wick Cochran, came into. He was at that time working with Best Foods as a in sales, and he came in to the grocery side. And I think when Ash got out of school, I wanted him to work somewhere else for a while, but I went off on a trip. When I came in one day, Guy and Gus had called him, and they had hired him to run a store. And so we ended up with something that a father takes a lot of pride in, having all of his sons there. But
you guys have it sounds like a great family owned and operated tradition and business there. We're going to take a real quick commercial break and hear from some of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back.
The Medical Center of Dublin is proud to provide families all over Middle Georgia with primary care services that are hard to find under one roof. Call on our team for the highest quality of health care, family medicine, women's health care, and now urgent care open until 8 p.m. Walk-ins are always welcome. If you're sick today, you'll be seen today by one of our physicians. The Medical Center has been serving our community since 1964, providing quality medical care for the entire family. Medical Center, conveniently located on Hillcrest Parkway.
Welcome back. I hope you're enjoying I know I certainly am, a great conversation with Ben and Guy Cochran. But Ben and Guy, we've got a large part of the family that's not represented here today, and I know they play an important role in the business. So if you would share with me a little bit about some of the other family members and their involvement and investment in the company.
I just mentioned that Wick had followed Guy into the wholesale food business, and Ash came into the retail side of it while I was gone. Then he's moved into, in '93 when we bought the oil company, Ash and I went to the oil company, and Guy and Gus ran the retail, and Wick was in the wholesale food distribution business. And then it's evolved. What's happened now, we really have just one operating company with 3 profit centers, and Guy's doing a great job getting it much more efficiently handled than it had been. It's working better as a business than it did as a family when everybody was,
Right.
But at any rate, that's how the other family members got there. And one of the things we do always, we end up talking about our family a lot, but we cannot say enough about how much we are indebted to people who have chosen to spend the time with us. Guy said that, and the danger of starting naming,
leave
One of our
somebody
key
out,
people,
certainly.
Bo Payton, got left out of the article. I didn't leave him out, but he is so key to everything. And
Right.
so it's dangerous to do that, but we just owe the lot to all of the people of Lawrence
Well,
County.
and let me say thank you to you, Mr. Cochran, and Mr. Cochran, both of you gentlemen, for your service in our military. And I understand there are other members of the family that are currently serving in the military. Thank you both for that service. You know, we just enjoyed great 4th of July celebration here in Dublin, and fireworks and all the things that we enjoy on a daily basis. And we enjoy those freedoms because of men like you and the sacrifice that you made. So thank you for that. We talked a little bit about your brother and his role in the company, and I think you said he might be on vacation or something today. We were picking,
he's with his oldest son. Jackson is really doing well. He's in the Signal Corps, and one of his cousins, Jackson, is fixing to join next month. And my son Ben had dreamed of playing Division I football, and he had 3 schools that recruited him: West Point, Navy, and Air Force. And his mama didn't want him going to West Point, and and Paul Johnson was at Navy, and he said he wanted him to be his punter. And so Fisher DeBerry was the Air Force coach, and it's kind of a strange story. He offered Ben, and then resigned.
Oh, no.
So we were kind of, ecstatic one day and then depressed the next day. And then, of course, Troy Calhoun offered Ben. But Ben's now serving in the Air Force, and he's flying F-16s. So awesome. He's actually deployed right now. So we always ask everybody to remember him in their prayers. So, getting back to the question of succession, that's we've got a lot of our next generation involved in the service and other things, and so I'm like reminding them that I'm not getting any younger guys, So, but we're blessed. We got some pretty impressive nephews and nieces, and I've got some other children that are pretty talented too. They're raising babies right now. I went from he is a great granddaddy, and we went from Tina and I went from 5 grandkids to 9 grandkids in 7 months, or 6.5 months. And
wow.
that's
pretty big.
So we've had a lot of fun with that, but they're having babies right now. They're not interested in doing anything other than raising kids, which is good. Okay. That's what they need to do.
But tell me, back on the business side today, two things. One, you've mentioned growth, and you've mentioned stores and different aspects of the business. So where are you? Somewhere in the neighborhood of number of employees now. And then second, what do you see as your biggest challenge today in your industry?
You want me to handle that? You notice I still defer to my senior.
Absolutely.
We were at 250 to 60 folks before the 2008 recession. Mm-hmm. We were impacted like everybody during that, and had to make a decision to exit some units. And we're about 150 people right now.
That's still amazing.
And we feel like they're stores we want to stay in for the foreseeable future. The challenge, Heath, I told a group this. You hear on the news, you hear the pundits say, the business folks say, the uncertainty. And if you run a business and you go out and you risk your capital and you borrow money and you do the things that businesses do all over America, you understand what that means. The uncertainty of what the government's going to do next. The biggest challenge is dealing with unpredictable government mandates, whether it be Obamacare or whether it be some other costly overtime regulations. But so those are the challenges, and it's hard to really know how to anticipate those. But I'm an optimist. You got to be an optimist to be in business, and I think that hopefully we'll as a country we'll take a tack that's more favorable to business, because you know, everybody wants the economy to grow, no matter what party you're in, what ideologically position you take with regard to the economy. Everybody wants it to grow and everybody wants to do better. But I think we all know that, you know, it's got to be, you got to reward risk.
Certainly.
And when you don't reward risk, you don't have much growth, and that's kind of where we've been for the last several years.
Well, again, from a chamber perspective, I couldn't agree more with you. Growth is a good thing, and investment in the community, and we appreciate you guys and your continued investment in this community, and hopefully for years to come. We're going to take one more short commercial break, and we'll come back and wrap things up.
Hello, my name is Shannon Knight Brantley at Atlantic South Bank in Dublin, Georgia. I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our locations. We are located on Bellevue Avenue and 441 South here in Dublin, and we also have a location in Alamo, Georgia, right on Main Street. We are two names, one bank. Atlantic South Bank is a division of Wheeler County State Bank. We have many services to offer you. We have internet banking, telephone banking, checking and savings services, and also a variety of loan services. If we can assist you with any of these services, or if we can help you with your next mortgage loan, please stop by one of our locations. Atlantic South Bank, a division of Wheeler County State Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Welcome back. We're having a great conversation today here with Mr. Ben Cochran and Mr. Guy Cochran with Cochran Brothers. One of the things I always enjoy talking about with folks in any business or industry is technology. And I certainly would think with you guys, I know with technology, even at gas pumps and different things like that, you know, I'm one of those types of people, I hate to admit this, but I've pulled up at a gas station before and the credit card reader wasn't working, so I went across the street to the gas station that was. I wouldn't go in the store. But I'd like for you guys to share briefly, how has technology impacted your industry?
I'll start with the history, and Guy can tell us. Like, I have no idea. It's moving so fast now. And
I think we mentioned the cell phones earlier and try to find things on the smartphones.
But when we were still very small, we in 1976 we bought a IBM System 32, which was about as big as a huge thing, and had about the same computing power as they say a microwave has now. But we spent 7 or 8 years with that and learned that, and had some great people struggle through that. I dare some to mention names, but the Haywoods and Gene Sabota, Geraldine and Walter Haywood, and Gene Sabota and Hazel Thigpen, Julius Taylor, and Ira was mentioned.
Yeah.
But those folks helped us through what was a struggling time. And then, as you accurately point out, it's just key to everything we do now, and Guy can talk more about what's happening now than I can.
Tell me about a little bit of the current technology.
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing what technology can do for you, but the danger is you get dependent on it, and you can't hardly function without it. But we've gone from crude, just, you know, pumps to the pay at the pump to the biggest innovation we made in our company probably 6, 7 years ago was to scan. We had held off scanning because of the food service part of our business and not knowing how to deal with that, and we had to create a whole new language for that. And but we did that about 6, 7 years ago, and it's just incredible. You know, you don't have to guess at what you're selling. You know, you're able to develop metrics for how many pounds of chicken fillet should equal how many chicken fingers. So, you know, you can do things and measure things and not be guessing at what you're doing. But so technology, and I'll tell you, the timing couldn't have been. One of the reasons we went to scanning, we had a young man who's came to work with us named Sean Claxton, whose family's over in Johnson County. They were the United Transportation people, and when they sold that business, Sean was probably in his mid-30s, and his official title was CFO, but he was the IT guy for his family business, and he's been our CFO IT guy. And he, along with Bo Payton, who my dad mentioned, are two of the guys that run our Sean does the IT side of the retail. Bo does the actual execution of all the various programs.
Keith is helping me out, Keith.
We've got another Johnson County young man named Keith Newsom that does a lot of our maintenance, and we're working him into the pay at the pump feature. But we've just got a lot of really talented people that have Sonny Warnock over on the east side. The Warnocks own the east side. Of course, the Lakes would argue about that, but the Lakes and the Warnocks are, go way back, and Sonny Warnock runs our warehouse division. And we've got one of the folks we need to hope and pray will get back to work with us. Chris Bracewell was with us for 20, 30 years. He's been out with a health issue that we hope will get squared away. But Angel Neesmith is another supervisor that's been with us a long time. I could go on and talk about managers. One of the things I'm proud of, we've had managers that have been with us. Bo's been with us. We've been in retail 35 years this year. Bo's been with us 34 years.
That's awesome.
So we've got a lot of 20 to 30-year-old employees
Right.
that have allowed us to grow and take risk and do these things. And as my dad mentioned, we both married up, so that's helped us.
We can probably all say
helped
that.
us, yeah.
It's a family tradition. You can't marry over your head.
That's right.
But and while we're on that, I do want to pay tribute not only to my wife, but to my daughter, who was key when Gus was starting off. I think Guy mentioned, I know he's on camera, but the first years Gus literally had a cot down there, and Lee was down with him, and she was running the stores just with him. And my wife, during those terrible years, she worked with us without a salary for a long time. They get tired of hearing that, but she did.
I've been making up for that.
I tell you, I think we would all have to agree. Our wives play a huge role in our success.
I think that's true with all of us,
Yes.
and I also, just from the point of view of small business, most of the small businesses you see where the husband and wife's involved, the wife is
The backbone of what's going on.
They're both important, but they're really important and don't get as much credit. They get more time than they used to.
All right. Let's take just a minute before we wrap up, if you gentlemen would maybe take turns and just share with our viewers anything that you would like to share or say as far as your years of success. Again, congratulations to you on that longevity and 100 years. Wow, that's amazing, and I know both of you gentlemen are proud, and I'm as happy as can be for you. But if you would, just share a few closing remarks with our viewers.
Well, some of this I have already said about how much we appreciate the customers and the people that work with us, acknowledge the support we have from the family. But go ahead and let me come back if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, we again, the folks in Lawrence County, we appreciate what you do, Heath. The chamber, we've got a great chamber. We've had a great tradition of business-friendly, government here in Dublin, Lawrence County. And but I'd be remiss not to say we joke about things, but and my dad mentioned it earlier about I think our faith is just kept us, allowed us to just battle through some adversity that every family business has, and that's as you get older, you reflect more, and you appreciate that, and I don't have a lot of confidence in the goodwill of man. I have a lot of confidence in my Lord and Savior.
Amen.
So that's kind of what keeps you positive.
That's right.
The comment that I want to make before we get off the air is how when you think about it, I've not been there the 100 years, but I've been here 58 of the 100 years. Thinking about it, I've probably been with it longer than my predecessors. But to me, there couldn't have been a better life. A lot of folks have accomplished a whole lot more than I'll ever think about accomplishing, but to have lived at a time when I knew my grandfather well, watched him work on the farm and watched him work in the business, and learned from him. I learned from my father, I learned from my uncle, Carl Cochran, and worked with those folks. And then with all these people I named that, not all of them, many of them I worked with, didn't get to name them, But then my sons, all three of my sons, my son-in-law, my daughter, it's just been really a great ride.
Well, again, you got something? Go ahead.
I have failed to mention
Sure.
one young man who's not with us anymore. Larry Jackson was his daughter is married to the current head coach, Lori, of the Dublin High basketball team. But Larry Jackson came along in our family history at a critical time, and he was just literally a godsend and enabled us to really do some growing. And he was one of those guys that if you had to have a top 10. He really was a key guy in our success during the growth period of our company. He passed away back in 06. But thank you, Heath, for this opportunity.
Again, thank you both. One last thank you and congratulations again. I mean, there's just not a whole lot of folks in business anywhere today, in any business, that can say we've been around for 100 years. So congratulations. I think both of you mentioned we are blessed. We live in an amazing community. We have amazing support from our community, and we're here for you guys, and we appreciate you. And we also want to remind you that it's a great day for business in Dublin, Lawrence County.